Well, we're going to speak now to the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, Lucy Frazer, who joins us this morning from Westminster. A very good morning to you. I want to start, if you will let me, with our top story this morning. And this is really interesting polling that shows that Reform UK is really eating into some of your traditionally safe seats. And it looks like where you used to have large majorities could well be eaten into by Reform, with Farage being sort of attributed for that large sort of shock to the Conservative Party. I mean, how much of a worry is that, you know, your lack of control of the issue of illegal crossings and migration, one of Rishi Sunak's top pledges, is losing you votes to Reform?
Well, as you say, that issue about immigration, and in particular illegal immigration, is a top priority for the government. And not only have we committed to bringing it down, we actually have already made significant progress on that. So we've seen that we've brought illegal immigration down by a third in circumstances where other countries in the Mediterranean have seen their immigration go up by 70 or 80%. So I would say to those voters who might be thinking about voting Reform, if you want to get illegal immigration down, you need to vote for the Conservative Party, because the only other alternative is a Labour government, and they've got absolutely no plan to stop the boats.
Although we are in the second highest year on record for illegal crossings, and we're hearing from civil servants within the Home Office that your Rwanda plan, this beleaguered plan that the Supreme Court have judged, you know, not to be feasible, they're saying it's just a political gimmick and that you're wasting their time.
I don't agree with it being a political gimmick. All that we've not managed to stop the stem of illegal immigration. We've reduced crossings by the Albanians by over 90%. And of course, we're disappointed with the decision by the Supreme Court. But we accept that decision. And you'll know that we're already taking steps to try and ensure that the Rwanda plan does work. And we've committed to making a further agreement, a treaty with Rwanda, and bring forward some domestic legislation so that we can ensure that we can send people to Rwanda and make sure that policy is put into place as soon as possible.
Well, yeah, look, movement has been happening. Figures are coming down to an extent. It's not stopping the boats, as the Prime Minister promised he would do by the end of the year. And on top of that, people are concerned about legal migration figures being as high as they are. I mean, it's double what they were just a few years ago. Why isn't the government taking more action on that? Because it is down to the visas that are being issued. Why not put a hard cap on it?
You're right. Legal immigration is also too high, and that's why we've taken steps on that as well, including stopping dependents of students coming over, which was one of the biggest challenges that we faced, and we've stopped 150,000 people coming over through that route. And so we are taking steps on that as well.
I want to ask you, in your capacity as Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, about a couple of media stories doing the rounds. This is the front of the Mail this morning, that the Prime Minister is warning the BBC off a really big licence fee increase, the biggest in 40 years, in the spring when that freeze comes to an end. He's saying that, frankly, the cost of living crisis means that people cannot afford to do it. But the BBC, like all of us, and indeed the government, is seeing how much more their expenses have gone up. So what's the answer in all of this?
We're really concerned about the cost of living. You'll know that as a government we've done significant things to ensure that people can continue to afford for their daily expenditure. And so we don't want to see the licence fee going up too much. We froze it for 2 years to protect people from the cost of living. It is due to rise, but we want to take steps to ensure that it rises by an amount only that people can afford. So that's why the Prime Minister made those comments that he did, and we are looking to make sure that any rises are affordable to people across the country.
Well, yeah, look, that all sounds well and good, except it's a two-way street, isn't it? You either have to pay for the BBC or you don't. You can't just cut its money and expect it still to produce the same programmes.
And that's why we're also looking at reforming the licence fee. The licence fee needs to be fair. The BBC needs to have sufficient funds to support its work, as you say. And the system isn't working at the moment because the number of people buying the licence fee has gone down by hundreds of thousands of people over the course of the last year. And so that's why my department has already started to look at how can we reform the system, as you say, to make it fair for licence fee payers, but also make sure that BBC remains sustainable.
I want to ask you about the Telegraph newspaper. For people who've been following it closely, they'll be aware that there is a particular company that is backed and funded by Abu Dhabi who are trying to get their hands on it. So concerned are you that you have prompted an inquiry by the Competitions and Market Authority as well as Ofcom. But I'm interested to see that Lord Hague has come out and said this isn't just about concerns over free speech and also over the public interest, but national security. What do you think he's worried about there?
Well, first of all, can I say I do have a quasi-judicial role in this, so what I can say about it is limited. But what I can tell you is the steps that I have already taken. So, as you say, I've issued a PIN, and what that does is now puts in steps a process for Ofcom and the CMA, the Competition and Markets Authority, to look at this proposed sale and to investigate it, and that is on public interest grounds. That is on the grounds of our concern in relation to free speech. There are also mechanisms, if there are concerns raised, for us to look at things on the basis of national security, and that is something that would be looked at not by me but by other ministers in government.
And are you confident that if the takeover does go ahead, that they will be able to maintain independence editorially?
Well, that's the question that the CMA and Ofcom will be looking at and will reporting to me on. And given my role, I'm afraid that's not something that I could comment on any further.
Yeah, Lucy Frazer, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much indeed.